Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
It's time for What's Cracking, where we bring you news from the hobby and the sports world as well. All right, going to walk back a few comments I made last week or last couple weeks on the Topps Heritage. You know, I know it takes a lot of grief, and I gave it some too for not being a super productive product, but like some others have said, that's not the aim of the product. It's not a hit-driven product. It's a retro variation, super short print type of release. The design is nice. I can't argue with it there. I've mentioned that I've opened it a lot less in each year over the last few years, and it's probably something I'll continue to do and kind of open less. And it's nothing against the product per se. I know it's a very popular product. It's just not my cup of tea. And if you heard the show before, you've heard my mantra that I'm opening less wax each year. And I want to, do 80% less in 2020 than I did in 2019. I also someone asked me about that. I got a private message and someone said, John, I see you post pictures of your shelf and it's full of wax. How are you how are you buying 80% or consuming 80% less? It seems like you have more on your shelf. And so I want to clarify what I mean by consume 80% less wax, meaning open it for myself, buy a blaster box, buy a hobby box from an online seller and rip it open with the sole purpose of either keeping the cards or flipping them or whatever you do, to each their own. So what you see on what I call my wax shelves are stuff that I'm just, you want to call it hoarding. I like to call it marinating. It's not a term I invented, but used in the hobby. When I use marinate when meaning to buy something with the sole purpose to not sell it right away. Just kind of put it away, keep it and let it mature, if you will, or let, the key players, key rookies in the product drive it where it's going. So if you've seen me post a picture of my wax shelf, or sometimes the wax shelf itself makes its appearance in another picture I'm taking, it's not the focal point. And I have a few people ask me, "You're cutting down on wax, or are you going more?" That wax you see is pretty much stuff I'm either selling currently from Newman Sports Card side of the thing, or stuff I'm buying to kind of put away. So, for example, anytime you don't see them so much anymore, they're all being bought up. But if I see any 2019 Series 2, even retail stuff, blasters, jumbo packs at Walmart or Target, I usually just buy them all up. That's the no number of Vladdy is driving that product higher. Product is drying up, so I'm just kind of anytime I see it, which is less frequently, I purchase that stuff now and put it away or put it on that shelf we're talking about, and just let it, I use the term again, marinate. And so, you see some Bowman Draft Sapphire that I'm not selling right now. I've got 3 boxes of that left that I've just leave on that shelf and let it do what it's going to do. So when I say consume 80% less wax, I mean from the point of just opening it for personal consumption. And with all due respect, I've done this a long time, and probably took me longer than I should. It should, but opening wax is, unless you hit something really nice and huge, opening wax can be a losing proposition. I've done better in buying the wax and then selling it at a later date. Certain products, you can't do that with every product across the board. You will lose if you guess wrong, and it doesn't hold true to every product. But I'm very selective with what I'm purchase. 2019 Series 2 Topps Baseball, 2018 Topps Update, although that's really, really not available anymore. And then obviously we know the basketball products of this year with Zion in it, Prism, Optic. If I run into that, I'm just going to purchase that stuff because it's just marketable. Let's be honest. It's just, you're not going to lose on that product. You really can't. So, that's a debate for another day. I know we talked a little bit about that on Hobby Hotline. What's the etiquette there? Do you clean the whole display box off? And I've done both. I'm not going to lie. I've taken a whole display box rack, and I've not done it when I could have. And so I guess it just depends. I just think, it's free enterprise. It's America. I know people get mad sometimes, but I've always gone back to if you want a product and you want to get it at the escalated price, pre-order it from one of the big wax sellers. I mean, I do that still. So, that's my answer to that. I'll be honest with you, I've opened no optic basketball, and I've purchased no optic basketball. Every time I go to Target or Walmart, the display's there, but there's nothing in it. Someone's cleaned it right out like piranhas. I don't get mad. I mean, disappointed, yeah, but I'm not mad at anyone. Someone got there, bought it. I mean, that's free enterprise, and that's, honestly, I'm not just saying that. There's a situation where I haven't got any optic basketball this year. Someone else was fortunate enough to do it. Kudos to them. Good timing. Maybe they walked in there at the right time. Maybe they slept in the parking lot and waited for the distributor to come. I don't know. Only they do. But so that's a little answer to the wax. But getting back to the Heritage, I know we went off on a tangent there. Getting back to the Heritage, I know what the product is. I don't think it's something that I will open a lot of. I make a list sort of every year what products I want to open this year, what products I kind of want to stash this year, and what products I kind of don't want to open this year, or I don't even put them on the list. And Heritage is becoming sort of one of those products to me. It's just not in my realm of what I like to do. So I'm not a set collector. I'm not really a team collector. So it's not going to do for me what it might do for certain other people. And that's the beauty of this hobby, folks. It's to each their own. I don't bag on anyone else if they, don't agree with everything that I think or do, and vice versa. As long as you're not pack searching and cutting packs like I ran into last week, or feeling packs or weighing packs. If you're doing everything above board and you just do different things to each their own. So Heritage will be a product I probably, when it comes out and I'm shopping in Walmart, as under normal circumstances, I'll probably grab 1 or 2 blasters, maybe 1 blaster, a couple fat packs, and be done with the product. And if I hit something, a short print or a relic or an auto, it is what it is. And if I don't, it is what it is too. I was a little harsh on the product last week after I listened to the show myself. I realized I probably should walk that back a little. So Heritage is not my bag. I don't think it ever was. I just think it probably took me a year or two or three to kind of figure that out. So for some, they love it, and I understand why. I mean, it's a great design product. It's just for what I like to do, it doesn't check those boxes off. So there you go. All right, also hobby news. David Ayres, your replacement goalie / Zamboni driver, who got paid $0, by the way. For those that are wondering, he kind of came in for the Hurricanes there due to injury. They were short goalies. First 2 shots he let in, and you're probably thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a night of destruction. He stopped the next 8 shots. They won the game. He became I hate to say it, a one-hit huge wonder, a national sensation. And kudos to Upper Deck for including him in some cards. He's going to have rookie cards. And I'm going to be honest with you, I hope to acquire a few. I think it's a great story. It's a great human element story. He's a kidney recipient, so that's a great story in itself. So Upper Deck's making the game dated EPAC moments available. That'll be an online only. But they're also putting him in as a Young Guns update rookie in the NHL SP Authentic set. And that's going to be, I can probably guess that's going to be...
It's going to be legend. Wait for it. And I hope you're not lactose intolerant, because the second half of that word is dairy.
Kudos to Upper Deck. Someone will say, well, it's a publicity. It's not a publicity stunt, They were short goalies. He was played goalie at lower level. He was on that list. He played. You didn't expect much. He played very well after the first 2 shots. And it's a great story. And he played in an NHL game. That's an official game. He no matter what happens the rest of his life, he can tell his kids and grandkids, Dad, Grandpa played in the NHL, won a game in goal. And so he played in the NHL. He should have a card. And Upper Deck, kudos for doing it. And so it'd be nice to grab a couple of those. I don't know what kind of market and what kind of price level these things will reach. That'll be interesting in itself. We'll follow back up on that as well. So there's going to be a David Ayres Young Gun rookie in SP Authentic. Kudos to Upper Deck. We are going to step aside for a quick break, but when we come back, more hobby news, including some info about the National Convention in Atlantic City. So I wanted to talk about a new marketplace that is about to hit the sports card scene, and it's called StarStock. StarStock is building a sports card marketplace aimed to be faster and cheaper for flipping sports cards than any other platform. This is a ground level moment in the hobby, and StarStock is currently looking for people who want to be the first to sell their cards at launch of this new platform. It's due to launch in April this year, and here's what StarStock is offering you. 5% commission, no ingestion fees. You send in your cards, they do all the work and post them up for you. Cards are guaranteed and secured in their vault. Cards need to remain in the vault for trading. You can choose to ship your cards back at any time you'd like. StarStock will be a flipper's paradise. You can buy, flip, store, or ship cards with the click of a button. StarStock is only looking for sellers with rookie cards and or prospect cards of current players. For more details, that email again is mike@starstock.com. Or you can follow them on Instagram at StarStockMarket. All one word. That's at StarStockMarket. The National, Atlantic City, end of July, early part of August. Tickets are officially on sale. Get them while they're hot. We'll be there. I know a lot of people are with the coronavirus. Don't get me started on that. I have very strong opinions of it. I'll save that for my personal pages. But a lot of people are concerned that the coronavirus is going to affect the national. We're looking at August, and let's be real. Hopefully, by then, this has subsided or died down considerably. probably poor choice of words there, but cooled off considerably. So, and if not, I mean, then something, and we got a serious issue if not. So the national tickets are on sale now. Congrats to Alex Ovechkin, 700 goals. Fanatics has all your 700 goal exclusive memorabilia and signed items. 2020 Donruss Baseball is out. A lot of different things in it this year, including some emoji cards. I've yet to open any, so I'll talk more about it when I do peruse a few packs, if you will. 2019 Panini Encased Football is out. Select Basketball is now out. I haven't opened any personally yet, but very sharp looking cards. To me, with those basketball releases, it looks like, to me, it's going to be Prism, Optic, and Select, and you may, in whatever order you want to put them in. The Select has the 3-tier parallels, Concourse, Premier, and then the tougher courtside. I want to talk about an online exclusive product that maybe you're aware of, or you haven't seen it up close. I did purchase quite a bit of the Yordan Alvarez Within the Game set from Topps, predominantly white kind of card, which I have a personal affinity for. A lot of white on the card. Artist drawn, Paul Jenis is that artist. Great job by him. These are really sharp cards. There's only been 2 released so far, Aaron Judge and Yordan Alvarez. I actually bought a couple Judges here, being in New York. There's a market for them, and I bought quite a bit of the Yordans. These are really sharp cards. They're called Within the Game. Like I said, white bordered cards, artist Paul Jenis. On the back, not a lot of, just to the point text. Says artwork by Paul Jenis and The Game Within the Game. That's what they're called. The Game Within the Game. Sort of has like a Topps Living set sort of feel. The stock is thicker and a little bit cleaner to me, and it has a different feel, a little more of a premium feel. It's going to be one of those products, depending on who the player. I'm not getting every player that's released, even though I've gotten some of the first 2, but depends who the player is I'll grab some. This is basically what I do with the living set now is based on the player. If it's something I want to just kind of put away or have a personal affinity for. So the other thing I want to say with this part of the show, what's cracking, I asked on a poll on Twitter, what people want to see in the show. Is it they just want to talk hobby and interviews, or hobby interviews and sports? And it's the poll's not over, but at the time of recording this, it was about 65-35, just interview and hobby. And so I'm probably going to not comment as much on the sports side of things as maybe I traditionally did, unless to me it has a direct correlation with cards. And so, for example, Christian Yelich just signed a 10-year, $200 million deal. And if you subscribe to the theory, that will affect his card prices, his rookie, his Topps update. Rookies should increase, barring a downturn or an injury based on that contract. Shows a long-term commitment from the Brewers. So when something like that happens, I'll probably interject it as sports/hobby. But I'm going to try to stick more to the hobby. What I might even do, I didn't do it on this particular episode as the votes were still coming in. I know I cut it out for a while, but maybe I'll bring back the release schedule for the week and talk about, just kind of give the rundown. I know the information's plenty available. It's on plenty of websites. Most of the other shows incorporated as part of their shows. I took it out to make room for a little more sports stuff, but since we might phase a little bit of that out, I might bring back the weekly card product release calendar, and probably starting on next week's show. So again, another example, we care about your feedback. We care about what you want to hear and what you like and don't like. So we'll try to incorporate that into the show. The other thing I need to do better with is getting the reader questions on the air. But frankly, that's what the Roll Hobby Hotline fills on Saturday morning as well. That's a live call-in show with various podcasts, this one included, on Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. But we might try to bring that, open mic part of the show back as well. So if you guys, as always, if you got any thoughts, feedback, reach out to us, private message us, let us know, good, bad, ugly. We're here to make this show the best it can be, and that's for you guys. I'm not doing this show. I hear myself enough, so this is for not me, but for you. So let us know what you think, want to see, want to hear, and the like. As always, thank you.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast. Now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way. All right, happy to have my next guest come back on the show. It was almost a year ago today, actually 13 months ago, he was on for the first time. He's Tim Virgilio from Signatures for Soldiers. Welcome back to the 101 Card Shop guest line. Glad you could come back.
Hey, thanks for having me. I feel like this needs to be our annual event. So,
yeah.
As spring training's kicking up, we just need to get back together and catch up.
I'm all for it. So let's just let's book all those appearances years in advance.
Done.
All right.
First, that'll be you.
That was easy. See, that's easily scheduling. Some scheduling not as simple. So last year when we had you on, Tim, you were at $41K raised for Signatures for Soldiers. For those that don't know, before we even talk all that, Signatures for Soldiers is an organization started by Tim to raise funds for injured and homeless veterans and the like. And they do a lot of, obviously, the money goes to military missions in action, and they do a lot of great things for our former military and military folks. And I can't say enough about, I said it then, I'll say it now, nothing, my opinion obviously hasn't changed there. So, 41K a year ago, and here you are. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just saw you post 75K today.
Yeah. That's for me, it's absolutely amazing and unbelievable to even think about. Raising $34, almost $35,000 in just over a year. I mean, that's crazy to think about, especially when I started this. The original goal, as I've always said, was about $500. So I think we're on pace to pass that at this point.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I was going to come back with, when you started this thing, your goal was to get raise $500, and you've just blown that thing out of the water, and just even besides, the dollar amount, it's more than that. Just in the last year, you've really, just made tremendous strides. The big news, and I'll let you talk about it, but you're going to be official sponsored at this year's national at the Atlantic City.
Yeah, we're really, really excited about that. It's just kind of back up a little bit. When I started Signatures for Soldiers, it was about raising money for military missions in action, and over 5+ years, it's grown into something much more than that. Obviously, we still do that and still focus on raising money, but it's really become more of a community and a way for folks to help out. My wife and I will talk a lot about how we believe that people want to help, and sometimes they don't know how to help. And I think that Signatures for Soldiers has become that how for a lot of people, which is awesome, because it's, our $75,000 raised hasn't been, 75 $1,000 donations. I mean, it's literally a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there. And I think it just demonstrates to folks, how you get enough people that come together, that care about a cause, and have a common interest. And even just a couple dollars, and how much that will add up very quickly. It's been really amazing. And then, a couple of years ago, the folks at Go GTS Live really kind of picked us up. Rob and Ivan and the producers behind the scenes really kind of picked up Signatures for Soldiers and invited us to our first national 2 years ago in Cleveland. And they along with Dave Gelfman with Rip and Wax donated the space and said, just get here, set up, and do your thing. And so that was the first national that we set up at, and it was really successful. We made a lot of great contacts, raised some money, and then they invited us back last year in Chicago. Same thing, and it was even more successful than it was the year before, because obviously there were things that I learned, and how to do things a little bit better and a little different, and every year's a learning experience. And then after the national in Chicago, the gentlemen, the guys that organized the national, they reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in having Signatures for Soldiers and Military Missions in Action be their identified charity partner for the national in Atlantic City, and I don't even think I let him finish the question before I said yes. So
you had me at hello.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited about that. Last 2 years, the national partnered with Ronald McDonald House. Yeah. They were their spotlighted charity, and they held last year. They held an auction in conjunction with Handbid, which is an online auction app that works with a lot of organizations and charities. And they were able to raise money. So we're going to be doing the same thing this year. So we'll be Signatures for Soldiers will be set up in the Breaking Pavilion, sponsored by Rip and Wax, because Dave Gelfman's giving us space again this year. Yeah. So we'll be set up there selling the stuff that we have, but then what we're adding on this year will be the online charity auction, and Handbid once again is on board with that. And what they're doing is they're donating their services and waiving all of their fees. So literally 100% of whatever the items sell for is going directly to military missions in action. So it's going to be really exciting. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that needs to be done, and that I'm pretty much doing all the time. But we've already got some really great items that we're going to have up for auction, and we're really hoping for a successful show this year. And talking with Handbid, he the gentleman I talked with there, he threw out a number of what their goal is, which, if we hit that goal, I will be absolutely ecstatic. He's looking to do at least $30,000 just on the auction piece alone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's
exciting.
Yeah, that's tremendous. And when you think of 365 days, it's not a long time in the grand scheme of things, but the just tremendous strides that you've accomplished, for the charity. You can't even, it's hard to measure just in that short amount of time, the growth. I don't want to speak for you, but I think your growth in the last year is probably bigger than probably the first 4.
Oh yeah, I mean every year is bigger than the year before.
Yeah.
It's when I sit down and I kind of look at this time last year how much money was raised and looking at that, and then this time last year who was supporting us and who do we have support from now in terms of whether it's companies or athletes or just the general public. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The growth in the last year has been has exceeded the growth that we had the year prior and the year prior to that. And so, it's just one of those things that just keeps growing very organically and very grassroots effort. So it's tremendous. It's, every day that I allow myself to stop and just think about it for a moment, it's surreal.
Yeah,
it really
no
is.
doubt.
Because, I'm just a normal guy. Show up, wake up every day, go to work, provide for my family, and this is my charity work. I joke that it's my side job, but I don't get paid for it monetarily. So,
yeah.
But it's a great thing, and it's just very humbling to have so many people support it like they have, in so many great companies.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because it was something I was gonna point out on my own. You do this. You have a full-time job. You do this in addition to that. There's probably some people, not me, but some people out there that might think you're like, this is a position you hold in a company and you do it. This is of your own free will, your free time. Like you said, it's all volunteer. You're not on the payroll of Signatures for Soldiers. You have a job that takes care of that, separate from that. So you do this in addition to working your full-time job. And I know, maybe others don't, the effort and amount of time you put into it. And I think that's the proof's in the pudding with how far this organization has come with you leading it through the forefront. So kudos to you. I know you're a very modest gentleman, and it's not about you, but let me be the one that pat you on the back and gets that word out there that this is, you do this of your own free time. You're not paid, and it's you have a passion for it, which you have to. But you don't get paid for doing it. That says something, because there's a lot of people that wouldn't do the same, and and there's some that would, but there's a lot that wouldn't. And so kudos to you there, Tim.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Very, very kind words. It's it's just combining some passions that I have, and I've had fun with it, and I think one of the added bonuses is I've met so many great people through this that I wouldn't have met otherwise. So that's kind of my payment. Yeah,
there you go. And it's true. Even with the show, and attending the National last year, it's that stuff you can't always put a price on it. So I got to ask you, I know your wife is supportive and helps. Since the last time we talked, is it still pretty much a family affair? Have you taken anyone else on? Is it something you're thinking about? If not, Michelle, my wife, is still really supportive of it, and some days reminds me that I need to keep it contained, because I will allow it to creep into other parts of the house. But I do have collectors that
kind of behind the scenes that are helping me with other aspects of it. Solicitation for donations, or just kind of pulling things from their own collection and helping that way. So it's I'll get somebody on board that'll. A new player on board that I may not have cards of, so I'll just kind of throw it out there on social media. Hey, anybody have any cards of this particular player? And, all of a sudden these cards start showing up. I think one of the most recent ones, Sky Bolt, made his debut with the Oakland A's last year. Jumped on board recently, and I only had a couple cards of his and kind of threw it out there on social media. And next thing I know, I've got literally 50, 60 cards of them now. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Word travels fast in this community. So, and that's a good thing that it does, Yeah. Unfortunately, there's bad scenarios, but for the most part, the majority are good scenarios, and there's a great example of one. So, the last year, I follow you. I'm keeping up on you. You've had a lot of athletes kind of reach out and say, "Hey, I want to help Signatures for Soldiers. What can I do?" I don't know if you want to, shout them out or mention some. I'm putting you on the spot, but
yeah. I always hate doing this because I'm always like, I forgot so and so.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well,
but yeah, a good example. Sky Bolt just recently said, he's willing to jump on board. Lewis Thorpe, who's pitcher with the Twins, he's been really supportive recently and has just recently gotten on board. And I had a chance to go down to Fort Myers, where the Twins have spring training, and was able to meet him and just kind of chat with him for a bit. Really nice guy. Just trying to think who else was recent. I actually had a call the other day from the marketing director for the Washington Redskins Alumni Association.
Yeah.
So the Washington Redskins Alumni Association wants to really start helping out. So he started to put me in contact with some players there. So, that's really going to help me kind of boost what I have to offer as far as football signatures go. As we continue to work together there. So that's pretty exciting. Just trying to think what were some other recent news.
It's just so much so quick. Yeah, it's like a blur to you, I would think. It's
that's the problem. It's like one good thing happens, and then another good thing happens, and it's like, I can't keep it all straight. So, but yeah, there's definitely been a lot of guys that have kind of jumped on board recently. Definitely starting to build up the more current players that are jumping on board. In the past it's been mostly retired players, but definitely getting some current players on board now. And I have a friend who has some other connections, and they've been putting me in touch with some players. So it's kind of a good problem to have to keep it all straight.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it's growing, obviously, and it sounds like it's just going to grow more. I think sometimes we're a little harsh on these athletes about some of the things some of them do or the way they are, yada yada yada. But many of these guys are they all are just people like us. They're very talented in their profession in sport, but they're really like us. They have parents and uncles and brothers who may have served in the military or currently serve, and so this is something they have a common thread and want to help out, and so that's nice. And I think you're going to see that continue to move in that direction. And the one thing I want to stress to anyone listening out there, while you sell a lot of this autographed cards, memorabilia to raise money for Signatures for Soldiers and MMIA, if maybe you don't collect autographed memorabilia and you want to help out, and you've had people who just donate funds, hey, here's
Yep.
Here's $50, here's $100, here's $5,
Right.
Whatever. So even if you don't want necessarily, you want to help Signatures for Soldiers, but you don't either desire or collect autographed, memorabilia or cards, just throw a donation their way. It's all the same. It's going to go to the same great cause, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and definitely with the national coming up, as we get prepared for that, obviously I'm going to have some expenses involved in that. So if I can just kind of throw a plug out there, if anybody wants to assist with that, definitely get in touch with me. I mean, lots of different ways to help with that. We have some really nice items that I need to get custom framed, so I'm open to gift cards or donations to help with offset those costs.
Yeah, you're already given of your time, Tim. I mean, I don't think that anyone has an issue with, hey, I gotta, these things have to get done, and so anybody who can assist or give a hand, I mean, that's what it's about. It's all the same in the end, and it's amazing the job you do. Again, out of the kindness of your heart, and that's it. You know what I mean? There's no secret agenda and whatnot, and not a lot. That list is short of people who do those kind of things. And you're on it. So.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. Yeah, the only agenda that I have is to try to make my little slice of the world slightly better, and that's it.
Well,
like I said before, I had a lot of fun with it, and met some great people, that I wouldn't have met otherwise. It's been a lot of fun, and I just hope to continue that and continue moving forward with it in a very positive direction.
Yeah, we're going to step away for a real quick break, but we'll be back with more Tim Virgilio.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast, now on 10 platforms: iTunes, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Radio Public, Anchor, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Castbox, and Overcast. Listen to in over 26 countries globally, Sports Card Nation Podcast is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, all our great guests, and our tremendous sponsors for making us what we are today. As always, without you, there is no us.
So I got to ask you, going a little bit, into the hobby wise. We're both Mets fans. What are your thoughts on? You're in Florida. You're right there where spring training is underway. What are your thoughts as a fellow Mets fan? We had an interesting offseason. Beltran was the manager, then he wasn't. Now he went in one door and then walked through the room and then out the back door. We obviously know why with the Astros cheating scandal. Probably for the best. There was going to be, let's be honest, a huge distraction. Something we have enough, being that the Wilpons are already owners. So the less distractions we can have, the better. What are your thoughts on the? I know we start off 0-0, but how are you feeling as a Mets fan here in 2020?
I really like the talent that they have this year. The pitching staff is obviously still going to be the strength of the team, as long as like any other team, as long as people stay healthy. And I think Pete Alonso showed last year that he's here to stay for quite some time. So it's going to be exciting to just kind of see them progress this year. It's like I said, just definitely a lot of great talent on the field. I really, this is one of the years that I really feel like going into it that they're going to be able to compete for the division.
Tough.
Obviously,
it'll be tough.
Obviously, the Braves and the Phillies and the Nationals are all going to be strong teams again. But I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. I've become just. I've always been a baseball fan, and it's just especially being almost right smack in the middle of spring training, especially this time of the year, there's going to be a lot of fun teams to watch. I don't think that people are giving the Rays enough credit, so I think the Rays are going to sneak up on people again this year, even though they won 96 games last year.
Yeah.
And then the Twins look really, really stacked, especially adding Donaldson to the team, and so there's going to be a lot of fun teams to watch. But I'm really excited about watching it. And then if I can, a little plug is Brian Schneider, who's former Major League catcher, is now on the Mets coaching staff this year. So, and he's a big Signatures for Soldiers supporter. It's going to be a lot of fun. So.
It's funny you mentioned Brian Schneider. This is a little tie-in. I'm here in Syracuse, and he was actually named before he got moved up. He was named our manager here for the AAA Mets, and then the whole thing happened with Beltran, and then he got brought up to be the quality control coach in the bigs. So he never managed here officially. He was named the manager, and now our manager. They've replaced him with Chad Kruder, former Major League catcher, who I'm familiar with as being in the hobby a long time. So funny when you mentioned Brian Schneider, I thought there's the tie-in with Syracuse, and
And it's funny you mentioned Chad Kruder because he's also signed for me in the past, so he's a big Signature for Soldiers supporter as well. So definitely when you get out to the ballpark, make sure you say hello and thank him for supporting us.
Yeah, so, I actually will do that, and it's funny. I literally live 4 to 5 blocks from the Syracuse Mets AAA stadium. I could, from my house, I don't do it because I'm old and lazy, but I could literally, if I wanted to, walk to the game. It's probably 5 or 6 city blocks, but it's probably a mile and a half. But it's very close. I can, from my back deck, if they're playing at night, I can see the lights of the stadium. So I'm definitely being a Mets fan and living that close to the AAA stadium is a pretty cool thing to literally have in your backyard. So. But so speaking of that, obviously you're very busy with Signatures for Soldiers. Personally, hobby-wise, has your focus really just shifted 100% to the charity side, or do you do anything with cards, personally?
No, I don't do as much with cards personally like I used to.
Yeah.
It's really, a lot of my time is just really focused on everything that I'm doing with Signatures for Soldiers, whether it's getting stuff out in the mail or inventorying stuff or what have you. Just because of kind of the time and money that I spent on that, I've really kind of narrowed down my own personal collecting. Being a Mets fan and growing up, in the New York area at the time. Greg Jeffries was the big prospect, and Greg Jeffries has been a long-time supporter of what I'm doing and has signed stuff, and I was able to meet him in Cleveland at the National, and was just really fantastic to me. So, I've decided to just go ahead and do kind of a Greg Jeffries personal collection there. So right now I've got about 215 unique Greg Jeffries cards collected at this point, and probably another 600-700 in duplicates, and then obviously I've got an autographed ball, a couple, an autographed picture, and a couple other items like that, and then the other player that I'm kind of starting a personal collection of his cards is Adam Jones. I've told that story before where. He reached out to me a couple seasons ago when he was still with Baltimore and, asked if he could help out, and donated one of his bats that he signed for us to raise money. And so, and he's just been very supportive since. And unfortunately, he's now overseas playing in Japan. And I say unfortunately because I can't really see him play, but, good for him. But, so I've recently started that collection where, probably up to about 30 or so unique cards there with a handful of doubles. And then I now have 2 bobbleheads of his. Just in an autographed baseball of his. So, just have started that kind of those kind of collections. And then, the other collections that I have are, I started these years and years ago, and I'm still continuing them. All-time Mets lit roster. So basically, getting autographs of guys who have worn a Mets uniform.
Yeah.
So, doing an all-time roster going back to 1962. So I've been adding to that, and then I'm a big University of North Carolina fan. So pretty much,
your basketball team just embarrassed us in the dome.
Yeah. Well, it's been a rough season for North Carolina, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
But so I've just been adding to that autograph collection. So baseball, football, basketball for them, and then the other project that I've started last year was the 1985 top set. Working on getting all 792 of those cards signed.
Wow.
So I'd say I'm probably about 100 cards into it that are signed at this point. So just continue to work on that. So, those are really kind of my hobby collections that I'm working on at this point. But otherwise, 95% of my time is, hobby-wise is spent on signatures for soldiers. And, it's fun. It keeps me involved in the hobby without, letting my own personal collection get out of hand. So.
Yeah, a good balance,
Yep.
And now that I know about the Adam Jones, I'll look through what I got here. I know I sent you some Jeffries. I'm a huge Greg Jeffries guy myself, and so I'll see what I got here for Adam Jones, and I'll get those headed your way as well, Tim. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Awesome. I appreciate you coming back on to talk about the great strides that Signatures for Soldiers have made. And just the last year alone is tremendous. Kudos to you. I know you don't always like to pat yourself on the back, but I'll do that for you. None of that stuff happens without you leading the charge. So, good on you. Great job by you.
Thanks. I really appreciate it, John. I appreciate all of the support from you and so many others. And hopefully, you can make it down to Atlantic City.
I'm there. I've already got all my stuff's already booked, and
awesome.
So I'll see you there for sure. I'll probably make a donation. I'll do it in person if that's okay.
That's fine by me. Yep, absolutely. No, it should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. And, again, just thank you so much for all the support that you've given to me.
Well, that you don't have to thank me. It's easy. Anything, this is, a great charity. Thank you rather than thank me or anyone else. A charity like this is just really, it's kind of a no-brainer, and it's very easy to get behind. It's like I said the last time we talked on the podcast, I've never served in the military, but I come from a military family. I have a lot of family that have and a few that still do, and so it's near and dear to me. And I said this last time too, Tim, whether you have family or not, the men and women who serve this country are defending all of us. You don't have to have a family member to know or you shouldn't to know the importance of that. And so to help some that maybe be a little down on their luck after the fact, it's just, to me, it's just a no-brainer, the right thing to do. And that's why I do, and I hope many others feel the same way. So, and closing out here, I'll give you the final word here. Give out any of your website, your URLs, or anything you want those to where they can reach you and the organization.
Sure. So social media, try to stay pretty active on that. So Twitter is at SIGS, SIGS, 4 Soldiers. Facebook, if you just search for Signatures for Soldiers, all spelled out, it'll show up there. Instagram is, where's my Instagram? At Signatures for Soldiers, all spelled out. And then email is signaturesforsoldiers, all spelled out, at yahoo.com. So those are kind of the best ways to kind of follow and see what I'm up to and reach out to me. And, if you have ideas on, kind of how you'd like to help or can help, I'm always open to those discussions. So again, I just appreciate the support, because I can't do it without great people like you. And it's 75,000. Wow. 100,000 is in sight at this point. So it's,
that's gonna happen here in a few months, if not sooner. So
it might happen. If it doesn't happen by then, it will most likely happen by the time we get to the national, which is, looking at the calendar, 5 months away. So.
Yeah, that time's flying. It just seems like so far.
Yep.
It's already March.
Absolutely.
It's like crazy.
Yep. So it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing a lot of great people that I've become friends with and have supported us over the years, and meeting some new folks. So,
no doubt. Well, Tim, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Keep going. Obviously, I don't have to tell you that, but little push there. But I'll see you here, like you said, in 4 or 5 months. I'll get some Adam Jones here together, and we'll get those before then. And again, thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for coming on and sharing a little bit about it with everybody.
Well, again, John, I really appreciate you having me on, and for all the support you've given. And we'll I'll already put it on my calendar, March 1st next year.
Yep. All right. All right. Book it. I like that. Right. Easy scheduling. Can't beat it. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
All right. Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA grading submission needs. They are constantly submitting, so they are always at the ready when you're ready. They offer various turnaround levels at the lowest prices around. Cards are insured to and from PSA at no additional cost to you. And they even provide the card savers your precious cards need to be put in before being sent to PSA. They take care of that for you. And because of their elite status at PSA, they have some of the best turnaround times around. They even have group chats for each submission, so you know exactly where your status is on your cards. They have open dialogue and open communication. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you.
We love our listeners. Without you, there is no us. We care about your opinions and feedback and invite you to reach out to us on any of our social media accounts. On Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast, Twitter at SportsCardNati1, or email the show at sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. We don't ask for much, but if you really like the show, give us a shout out. Tell your friends or give us a follow on our social medias. If you enjoy the show, please give us a positive review on iTunes or any of the platforms you are listening on. Thank you.
Well, folks, that does it for episode 66 of the Sports Card Nation. First off, sincere thanks to Tim Virgilio, Signatures for Soldiers, doing big things for our former military, and it's great, always great, where he's built that organization up in a matter of just 5 years is insane. Kudos to him. Thanks for coming on again, Tim. Fun time in the hobby right now. Fun time of the year. It's tax return season, so a lot of people are spending, got that discretionary income. I'm doing my taxes here next week. A little worried. My son is in college now. I can't claim him as a dependent. So I'm hoping all those charitable donations that I do make come and help me out here, but hoping I don't have to pay, but we'll see. Haven't done them yet. So if there's no show next week, I've left the country because I owe taxes. Just kidding. But, it is tax season. Most people obviously do get some sort of return. So I noticed with Newman Sports Cards, our sales the next 2 months, March and April, are usually some of our best months in sales tracking. So that's always a fun time. I also tend to buy a little bit more myself. When you're bringing in more, you usually buy more, and so I'm buying up certain cards. I'm not going to be Gary V and tell you what to buy, but use your best discretion. Another reason this part of the year is also fun in the hobby. Got a lot of your new baseball products starting to stream out. Once the flagship Topps comes out, the others soon follow, and baseball season here is just a few weeks away, so a lot more baseball products on the way. Some end of the year basketball products as well. And then as we approach the NFL draft, which is 6 to 7 weeks away, some of those new football products with all the new draft picks will be out as well. So this is the time of the year where products start to come off the presses. More people have their tax money, so there's a lot of buying and selling going on, and that's obviously always good for the hobby. Couple program notes as always. A reminder: Hobby Hotline every Saturday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Rotating revolving door of current podcast hosts. Live call-in. You can come right on the air with the host and discuss whatever you'd like to discuss. It's your show. It's live on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. Follow us on Twitter at Hobby Hotline. Also want to talk about our new short form podcast called Hobby Quick Hits. It's just a shorter form of podcast, just one topic I pick. We simulcast it via YouTube and as a podcast both. It's only 15 to 20 minutes long, no guests, no ads for the most part. Just quick in, quick out. It's called Hobby Quick Hits, hence the name. And you can follow us at Twitter there at Hits Hobby, at HITSHOBBY. Subscribe to Sports Card Nation on YouTube, and you can watch the video version of the podcast. So there's an audio version and a video version. They're simulcast and then released separately. And nope, not done yet. One more plug. Myself and Drew Herndon from Let Me Get That Potograph do a Sunday night live NFL podcast, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called Roughing the Passer. We talk about the NFL and all things football. It's not a hobby podcast per se, but some hobby, some card stuff leaks in there a little bit. But if you're a football fan, I think you'll enjoy the show. That's usually live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope as well. That's called Roughing the Passer. Sunday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, myself and Drew Herndon. So we'll bring this thing to a close. Again, I want to thank everybody who listens to the show. We appreciate you. Without you, there's no us. That's a pretty simple equation, and we thank you for being here for us and allowing us to do this and all those other shows I just mentioned as well. So one quick note in closing: if you do enjoy the show, please leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts or any platform you do listen to the show on. We really do appreciate it. We've got some great interviews coming up in the next few weeks, and even furthermore than that. So again, thank you everybody. Take care. We'll see you in 7 days.
Put it in the box!
I warned you. I prepared you. I instructed you. I told you what to expect.
You've been listening to the Sports Card Nation podcast. Join host John Newman next week as he gives you another jam-packed episode of all things related to the sports card hobby. And a little extra fun, too. Don't forget to check out the show on Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast.